and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
An educated workforce is a devastating thing. You're leading the baddest motherfuckers on this planet. We have been subjugated to management's tyranny too long. Too long. Today, we're going to pick a fight. You're leading the baddest motherfuckers on this planet. The union's here now. We have to be united. That's what we have to do as a union. We are all the union. Educated workforce is a devastating thing. We are all the union. The most powerful individual on the working floor is the shop steward. If I tell you that I love you, that means if Satan came up and got you himself, I would go to hell to get you back. The union's here now. You can never put anything above the city letter carry. Letter carry is personal to me. That's my heart. The city letter carries. Satan came up and got you himself, I would go to hell to get you back. Never put anything above the city letter carries. We have to be united. And I will go to war with y'all every day. All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration, the Tuesday edition. I was in Hawaii this past week and was speaking at their state convention to some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. I always talk about love the city letter carrier. If you love the city letter carrier, you're going to succeed. No matter what happens, win or lose, you're going to succeed if you love the city letter carrier, because we're going to have your back. Those people love the city letter carrier. They love each other like no group you'll ever see. And so they were fantastic to me and my wife. We had a fantastic time, and I cannot thank them enough for that. And so I got home about 2 this morning and woke up at 6 and went into work. And so my ass is bushed. But I'm going to do this episode. Tomorrow I'll do the shout outs. Normally I'll do that on From 8 Arbitration, but tomorrow I'll do that on the Lion's Den, talking about the 6-day count stuff, okay? But because I'm going to go to bed as soon as I do this episode, because I'm very sleepy. But if you listened last Wednesday, I had some homework for you. We got a new podcast out there. And I said, hey, I want you to go listen to this new podcast. The last Sunday, I announced all the podcasts that came into me. And this one came out after that episode. And so I said, hey, little homework. Go listen to Jurassic Measures with Lew Drass. And if you don't know Lew Drass, I'll give you a little history about him in just a second. But he's retired national officer. He was a vice president and retired back when Renfroe took over as president. Matter of fact, I did an episode about him. It was episode 53, and I talked about Lew, one of my mentors, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But if you remember, I said go listen to Jurassic Measures, and it's DRASSTIC Measures. Drastic Measures. And so it's his very first one. And I was glad to see him on the scene. And he talked about Renfroe and me, which was flattering because, Lew's a bright guy. And so for him to talk about me, that was kind of flattering. Matter of fact, they got a Facebook page for Drastic Measures, and it's all about me as well, which is flattering. It's kind of a self-help group talking about some people that have been bruised because of my language and who I am. And so they made a Facebook group so they could all go on there and console each other. And so it's really comical. But anyway, if you listen to it, we're going to talk about some things because I've always said the establishment is going to rise up against the CLC. There's no question. It's too late for them. There's nothing they can do about what's coming. But the establishment is going to rise up against the CLC. Why? Because they understand that they are losing their positions. And so this will not be the last one. There will be others. Trust me, there will be others come up. And we will crush them all. That is a foregone conclusion. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But Lew, if you don't know, he started in the post office in 1977. So he's been around just a little bit. And he went up to be an MBA in 2002, my region, Region 8. And so from 2002 until 2010, he was a business agent. And then he was called up in 2010 to be the director of city delivery. Now, if y'all remember, I said that I'd become a shop steward in 2006. And I became the formal Step A representative for Nashville in 2008. And that's when I first met Lew, or heard of Lew, because I was doing the Formal A and they would get cases that I was working on and stuff. And Lew and I became friends, and we had a tumultuous relationship. If you know Lew and you know me, we sometimes didn't get along. And we would let each other know it. But very wise guy. I'd put him in the top 5 as far as smartest union guys I've ever met. Top 5. And then he went up to be director of city delivery in 2010. That's when I stepped down. And if you remember, I had an episode, 83. I believe it was. It's called The Quitter, the Coward, and the Boogeyman. And that was pertaining to Lew when he was going up to national. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But he went up to be director of city delivery in 2010, and I stepped down as the formal Step A representative in 2010. And then in 2014, he became the vice president. And then he retired in this last election. And he was kind of fucked over, if you remember, and I'll talk about that too. But my entire career, I've been a city letter carrier for 32 years. I have never held a full-time position with the union, ever. Not one day have I had a full-time position with the union. So everything I do is based off of being a city letter carrier. Everything that I have put out on my podcasts, I'm a city letter carrier, telling you, helping you with things that I've been helped with along the way, things that I have learned along the way as a shop steward. I'm still the shop steward in my station. As a formal Step A representative, things that I learned there, I tell y'all. As an advocate, I'll tell y'all. Because it's not mine to keep. It's things that people have taught me. And so therefore, when they came to me to start this podcast, to educate those branches that weren't getting any education, after mulling it over, I said yes, because too many people had helped me, like Lew. And so everything that y'all have learned from me, I've learned from somebody else. It's just passing it along, okay? I will never take credit for anything that I've done because I've had too many influences in my life, my union life, to keep to myself, say that it's mine. But, again, I'm a city letter carrier. I have been for 32 years. I have never held a full-time union position. So everything I talk about comes based off of being a city letter carrier. So Lew went up to be the director of city delivery in 2010. He brought with him a guy that y'all may know called Brian Renfroe. And Brian Renfroe was Lew's protege. That's who Lew tabbed to come with him to Washington. And so Brian started the post office in 2004. And so in 2011, such a short period of time, Lew thought that he was ready to tackle national. And so he brought him with him to work in the CAU, Contract Administration Unit. In just a few short years, 2014, he went up to be the director of city delivery, and Lew went up to be the vice president. Now, what I'm going to tell you, the story that I'm going to tell you that y'all probably don't know is it's the craziest shit you'll ever hear. It's the most bizarre, the most ironic of ironic things is what happened to Lew Drass at the hands of Brian Renfroe. And you can make a movie about it. I'm sure it could be a Netflix miniseries, and it'd be in the top 10. The shit that went on. Again, it's the most ironic things ever, what happened to Lew. So Brian Renfroe goes up to be director of city delivery in 2014. Quickly, he gets the ear of Rolando. Matter of fact, I think Rolando brought him up to be kind of his assistant. And Renfroe started undermining people, snitching on people, trying to undercut them. One was a guy named O'Malley, if y'all remember him. Renfroe started snitching on him, kind of torpedoed him. The other one was Lew Drass. Renfroe started snitching on Lew. And here's the irony of it all. What he was snitching on Lew about was that Lew was an excessive drinker, and he would not leave his office. He would sleep in his office all night due to his drinking. Now, this is Renfroe talking about somebody else drinking. And so Rolando bought into that shit, and he listened to that, and he let that fester in him. And so the next election, Brian Renfroe was designated executive vice president, leapfrogging Lew as vice president. And Lew lost his shit. So much so that Rolando, he delayed telling anybody about the new positions. Fast forward to the Chicago elections, the ones where I was kicked out of. We'll talk about that in a second too. So we go to Chicago, and on Wednesday, the day I got kicked out, there's Renfroe running for president. And Lew Drass decided to resign. James Henry was going to take his spot. So you have Renfroe get in Rolando's ear, and he starts talking about Lew Drass's excessive drinking, and that Lew is unstable, and that he's sleeping in his office, and all that shit. I don't know it to be true. To me, Lew is a workaholic, and so he may have just worked in his office all night long. But Renfroe took an opportunity to politically assassinate Lew Drass, and that's what happened. And so Rolando leapfrogged Renfroe over Lew Drass because of that. And that's common knowledge up there. I've had numerous people tell me that. And so, and I've always said, back when I was talking in episode 53 about Lew, that he got stabbed in the back. And he did. He got stabbed in the back by his protege, Renfroe. And I was irate, even though he fucked me over in 2010, and I'll talk about that later. Renfroe had no business being our president back then because he had not had any time on this workroom floor. And I still say that today. You got to have time on this workroom floor. The problem is that Lew left, and I begged him to run against Renfroe. I was in the back seat with him. We were going to lunch. I was down at the business agent's office back then, and we were going to lunch, and I told him then, in the back seat of a car, I think Steve and Chris were going with us. They were driving. Lew and I were in the back seat. I told him then, I said, brother, whatever influence I have, I'll put it behind you. Whatever influence I have, I'll put it behind you. Just run against this motherfucker for stabbing you in the back. And he would not do it. He stepped aside and let Renfroe take it. The thing is that nobody knew the issues with Renfroe and his alcoholism. And that's one of the things I hold against Rolando and Lew Drass, is that neither one of them told us about Renfroe's drinking and his womanizing. And I think that could have negatively affected the election. And so I fought Lew for that, because I don't care if it sounded like sour grapes or not. You had to have known that this motherfucker was going to fail. You had to have. And you let the city letter carriers elect someone who was unstable. That's on you. That's on Lew, and that's on Fred Rolando. Because Rolando's in a conundrum. He's in a tough spot. Why? Because Renfroe has torpedoed Lew, talking about his excessive drinking, whether he did or not. Talking about him crashing out in his office, whether he did or not. That's what he was telling him. So now you have Rolando having Lew Drass, who Renfroe torpedoed, talking about his alcoholism, and you have Renfroe, who Rolando knows for a fact is an alcoholic. The DUIs that he's had. The issues with him falling down and passed out in bushes and shit like that. Damn near killing people on the street driving. And so Rolando's got Renfroe and Lew Drass. He's in a tough fucking spot. So he hides it from everybody. And in Chicago, we find out that it's going to be Renfroe and Lew Drass. He quits. He leaves. He doesn't tell anybody. He doesn't say, hey, I'm out of here. But by the way, this motherfucker here is a drunk. They're having issues with him drinking. He can say he's not a snitch or whatever, but this is the result of that, is what we're dealing with now, is the result of that. And so here we are today. Lew Drass is back, and he has a podcast. And so one of the things I'll say about the podcast is the most concerning thing that, and I don't care what people say about me. A lot of people talk about me. A lot of people don't like me, and that's fine. I rub a lot of people the wrong way, and that's fine too. But one of the things that Lew said that bothered me the most in his podcast is that he had been watching from afar. He had been watching from afar, and that didn't sit well with me. A lot of times I read The Man in the Arena. If y'all remember me reading that, I read it quite often. But this is what it states. The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And I thought about that when Lew came out and said that he had been watching from afar and decided now to jump back in the arena after the fight had been fought. There's no doubt that Brian Renfroe is defeated. He will not win. There's 0% chance of him winning. And anybody that's running with him will get crushed. And the city letter carrier is going to take care of that. But what you will see is a lot of these people that were standing in the sidelines on the bleachers watching us, city letter carriers, on the field fighting, in the arena fighting. And they will tell you that. I put up something on the From 8 Arbitration Facebook page, and this is what it said. If you let a person talk long enough, you'll hear their true intentions. Listen twice, speak once. It only took me 40-something seconds to know of this person's true intentions. He was watching from afar. What he was doing was he was making sure that Renfroe was defeated, and then he was going to jump into the arena like he had done something. When you say you're watching from afar, Lew, I get it. I get it. Because it's been a rough fucking 3 years. The city letter carrier has been in some fucking battles the last 3 fucking years. And so I don't blame those timid people for watching from afar. Those are your words, not mine, watching from afar. Do you know, Lew, that during that period of time that you were watching from afar, we had one of our brothers die? Did you know that? I don't know if you could see that from your vantage point from where you're watching from afar. But we had a brother, Eugene Gates Jr., die in somebody's front yard. And I said at the time that management killed that man, our brother. He's laying in somebody's front yard dead. Management disciplined him for something that they cannot discipline us for. They immediately started coming out with scanner messages saying, keep it moving, beat the heat. I don't know if you know that or you could have seen that from where you were watching from afar when all this shit was going down. And then they lied to the media after that, Lew. I don't know if you could see that from where you were watching from afar, but they were lying to the media saying that they had given him this hip training that they falsified. I don't know if you could see that from afar. And we lit those motherfuckers up, son. I wish you could have been there with us, baby. We lit those motherfuckers up for what they did to our brother, Eugene Gates Jr. I wish you could have been in there with us, man, fighting with us in the arena. But you chose to watch from afar. You know who else we lit up, baby? Your protege. Your protege, Renfroe. We lit that bitch up too. You know why? Because when the city letter carrier was in the arena, because our brother was dead in the streets, we were fucking motherfuckers up. And your protege, the one you brought up, the one that stabbed you in the back, he said that we were just trying to get a pound of flesh. I don't know if you could hear that from where you were standing, where you're watching from afar. That's your protege telling us that we were seeking a pound of flesh. We lit that bitch up, son. I don't know if you could hear us from where you're watching from afar, but we lit that motherfucker up too. I'll tell you this, and this is going to anybody that's jumping into this arena now that the fight is over. The establishment like Lew and Fred Rolando and all the others jumping in the arena now that the fight is over. Y'all have not seen a pound of flesh yet, but it is coming. It is coming. The city letter carriers will get their pound of flesh next year in this vote. Trust me, that's coming. I'm coming as a city letter carrier here today, baby. I'm not a union representative. I'm a city letter carrier telling you the vibe of the city letter carrier. You're watching from afar while our brother was dead, and we raised fucking hell, man, for you while you were standing there watching from afar. You're nothing more than buzzards. That's what y'all are. All of those jumping in the ring now like y'all did something, y'all are buzzards. That's it. Benefiting from what the Lions have done. That's all. Anybody who jumps in now, after this fight is fought, after Renfroe is dead in the water, he will not be reelected. Now you'll have him coming out of the woodwork. Y'all just trust us. Hey, all you little rapscallions, y'all just leave it up to us now. We're here now. Y'all just leave it up to the establishment. We'll take it from here. Brother, y'all don't understand the movement is the problem. Y'all don't understand the fucking movement that's going on is the problem. Y'all going to tell us y'all are watching from afar while we've been in these motherfucking streets fighting this shit on both sides. And you've been watching from afar? You're going to have the fucking nerve to say that to us? The shit we've been through for the last 3 fucking years because of your protege. Y'all don't have a clue what pound of flesh is, son. But y'all will. Y'all will. Y'all are buzzards benefiting from the work of lions, son. That's all y'all are. That is all y'all are. Did you know, Lew, while you were watching from afar, that management came out with metrics on us and created one of the more hostile working environments we've ever seen in my 32 years as a city letter carrier? Not as a union official, because I'm not one. In my 32 years, I've not seen a more toxic working environment created by management with these metrics. An hour office time. I don't know if you heard about that from where you're watching from afar. But they implemented this thing called an hour office time now that you're back in the fight. An hour office time. We had to be out of the office in an hour. And I remember addressing that. I've had 238 episodes, Lew, and I addressed that back in episode 78. That's how far back we addressed that shit. Because we were not watching from afar on this bitch here. We were in the fucking arena, son. We were in the fucking arena getting people ready for these metrics. I don't know if you could see them from where you're watching from afar. But we were in the fucking fight, man. You would have been proud of us. Shit was wild. I mean, it was fucking wild, man. The shit they were doing to us. And we were fighting. We were fighting. Do you know that they implemented 22-minute load times? That's based off of your protege putting those in memos. Can you believe your protege did that? I don't know if you read the memos because you were watching from afar while we were in the fucking streets, man, in this arena fighting. But they implemented these 22-minute load times. We had district managers emailing postmasters telling them that the 22 minutes was now standard. You know why? Because your stupid fucking protege put them in a memo. Did you come out and say anything about that, Lew? Or were you watching from afar? Did you come out and say how asinine that is to put times on memos? I know the business agent's office, a lot of them down there are raising hell, but they're too fucking cowardly to come out and say anything. I'm not, because I'm a city letter carrier. I'm a city letter carrier. Your stupid fucking protege torpedoed us like he torpedoed you, son. 22 minutes on memos. Did you know that they came out with this metric, these stationary events? I've been delivering for 32 years. I've never seen anything like it. We've dealt with stationary events with the MSP scanners and shit like that. But the technology now from when you retired has changed so much that it's created one of the more hostile working environments I've ever seen. Did you know that? Could you see that watching from afar? The shit we've been in here on this working floor, the shit that we've been dragging through, this fucking mud and muck that we're in because of that fucking stupid ass president, your protege, putting on a memo that they could jointly watch us. And I know the position of the NALC, well, just grieve it. They can't do it, just grieve it. You don't put things on paper that can be bastardized. Surely you know that, brother. I don't know if you could see that, though, from where you're watching from afar. But we were in the fucking arena. We were in the arena where we had a lot of cheerleaders. We couldn't hear y'all, though, because we were in the fucking fight. But we appreciate you getting in it now, brother, now that the fight is won. Now that Renfroe is done, we appreciate you getting in this fight now. But yeah, they started doing stationary events, man. Beating the shit out of the city letter carrier. And we've been fighting these motherfuckers off, son. We have been fighting these motherfuckers off. The city letter carrier has. While you were watching from afar. They falsified hip training on us nationally. Did you know that? They falsified hip training. And your protege, Renfroe, the one that you brought up with you, the most inexperienced motherfucker we've ever had, looked at nationwide falsification of hip training, and when the news media talked to him, he said it looks like there's some discrepancies. That's your protege, son. There's some discrepancies. I don't remember hearing you say anything about that. I guess that's because you're watching from afar when we're in the fucking middle of it. He has a way with words, though, man. I can understand why he was chosen above you, and that's nothing against you. But he was smarter than you. He knew the game. And that's no knock against you, man. He knew the game, the political game. He torpedoed your shit. And that's not anything to hang your head about. I mean, he was smarter than you. But he has a way with words. He said that there were discrepancies. Do you know what he said when we were raising hell about the stationary events? I don't know if you could hear it from where you were standing from afar. But he said that those are inconveniences. The amount of bullying and the toxic working environment that created for us on the workroom floor, these metrics that we did not address nationally. We did address them on this podcast, me and others. And so while you were watching from afar, we were fighting that shit, Lew. It was wild, son. You should have been here. We were fucking in the middle of it, baby. We were fucking in the middle of it while you were over there watching from your vantage point. I don't know if you could see us fighting or not, but we were getting in the middle of it, baby. But he said that those were inconveniences, the stationary events. He said there were discrepancies on the hip falsification. And he said there's a pound of flesh. As far as us raising hell about our brother, Mr. Eugene Gates, that's your protege. That's who you brought with you. You're responsible for him 100%. Because you saw something in him that's not there. He has no courage. He has no backbone. He's spineless. He's gutless. They implemented these red line policies on us. We intercepted Nationals training on that. Now, they've done red line policies in the back. But while you were gone, Lew, while you were watching from afar, they implemented red line policies. Have you ever dealt with red line policies before, Lew? If you have, where were you? Why weren't you helping? What were you doing? Because we were educating here on the workroom floor. The city letter carriers were educating the city letter carriers. And you're watching from afar. I'm beginning to see a pattern. I'm beginning to see a pattern, brother. You know, Lew, one of the biggest fights I've ever seen the city letter carriers fight was against this TA. The time that it took, 700 days, the amount of lying that your protege did to us, talking about historic and there's going to be these substantial starting wages for CCAs and all career workforce, the constant lying. And I don't remember you saying anything at the time. I know that you did a Zoom. You were neutral. You were lukewarm, one way or the other. But the city letter carrier stood up against that motherfucker. I don't remember seeing you there with us. It could have been because you were standing watching from afar. We beat that motherfucker down too. The city letter carrier did. We beat the shit out of that too, brother, while you were watching from afar. And I know that shocked the shit out of y'all, the establishment, when we did that. Y'all didn't have a fucking clue what was coming. Matter of fact, Barner was saying that they thought that they would win the vote. It would be close. And we beat the ever-loving shit out of that, man, while you're watching from afar. And all the Zoom meetings we had talking about turn down this TA, it's a bunch of shit. You're trying to feed us soup. And we deserve so much better. I don't remember you here with us in this fight in the arena. It could have been that you were watching from afar. That might have been what it was. Now that I think about it, I think that those are your words, brother, not mine. We beat the ever-loving shit out of that, man. And do you know what your protege did? He snuck that motherfucker in on a stipulated award. And I know in your podcast you talk about you didn't have anything negative to say about the expedited arbitration because the executive council voted on it unanimously. But the executive council did not vote for him to go in there and stipulate an award, which is exactly what it is. And I know that you're not asinine enough to come out later and say that it was not. Because you can read, I can read, every motherfucker in this country can read what the arbitrator wrote. And then your protege said the arbitrator was lying. That's your protege. He's 100% responsible. You are for him. He is yours and yours alone. I know that you said you trained me and him. Let me tell you something, brother. You didn't train me. You're a mentor of mine. And I will tell anybody that. I'll tell anybody you're one of the smartest guys I have ever met as far as union, and that is no fucking doubt. I'd put you up against anybody, but don't ever tell anybody you raised me. Because the week before your podcast came out, it's almost like it was prophetic. Almost like somebody had handed me your script. I told about my mother, who did raise me, who she said, If my brother was in a fight, you better be out there in it. If somebody else is in a fight and they're getting taken advantage of, you better be in there in that fight. That's what I said on my podcast. And not a week later, you come out there and said, when we were in the biggest fight we've ever been in, you were watching from afar. That's how I know you didn't raise me, brother. My mom and dad raised me to never watch anything from afar when my people are scrapping. And that's exactly what we did. For 3 fucking years we've been at it. While you were out under a stone somewhere, under a rock somewhere, and you're going to crawl out from under this rock and come in here and say, hey, I'm here now. I'll take it from here. Brother, y'all's days are done. The city letter carrier has rose the fuck up while you've been watching from afar. Now y'all don't know what to do with us. Y'all going to lose. Whatever you decide to do, y'all going to lose next year. That TA, not shit. Not shit. The city letter carrier, brother, has rose the fuck up while you've been out. While you've been gone watching from afar, you didn't see us stand the fuck up, did you? We've been through some shit, man, the last 3 years. I hate you missed it. I hate you missed it. We've been doing episodes every fucking week trying to help our people. That's what we've been doing. While you've been watching from afar, we've been out here telling people about our office times, metrics, stationary events. You got these pivot plans coming out. We talked about that. These emergency placements on seatbelts, we've been talking about that. We've been busy here, son. We've been busy while you've been gone. Where were you? Where were you when the city letter carrier needed our leaders the most? Where were you? You're going to tell us you were watching from afar? When we were raising hell about our brother, Mr. Gates, you couldn't come back then? You couldn't come back then and say, hey, let's rise up. Let's rally. As a retired executive officer, as a retired national officer, we're not going to have it because I still love my people. Even though I'm retired, I still love the city letter carrier. Let's rise the fuck up on this because our brother died and management did it. Where were you? We were here. We were here, brother, fighting. Every fucking step of the way. And you're going to tell me you were watching from afar? You didn't raise me, my man. You don't know me. You don't know me. You know the union guy. When I was Formula A and when we'd talk about arbitrations, you know that person. You don't know the city letter carrier me. You don't have a clue who he is. Don't tell anybody you raised me. That's a slap in my face. You raised Renfroe because he watches from afar. That's what, while we're out here fighting, he's watching from afar. I did take exception to that, brother. I did take exception to that. Whatever you say about me, that's opinion, man. You can have your opinion on me. Like I said, you don't know me very well. You know the union person, me, but I've never been a full-time union person, right? I think that all of y'all, the establishment, every single one of you in the establishment are buzzards. And I'll tell all of them that, brother. I've been doing that for the last 2 years anyway, when I realized that my union has failed us. And I think y'all are buzzards at the end of the day. Y'all came in after the fight had already been fought. Y'all are benefiting, like I said, y'all are benefiting from the work of the lions when we came in and devoured every fucking thing. And now the buzzards are coming in and they're saying, hey, we're here to take over. No, you're not. You're not. Just a few things I want to talk about when we talk about receipts. And I know that you said I was dishonest. That's fine. That's fine. I've always told people that I worked at the Formula A from 2008 to 2010. And I think you said something along the lines of when you were gone, I was still there, or something to that effect at Formula A. I left in 2010. That's when you went up. And in my episode, I talked about that in the episode 83. And you told people in your episode that I was a quitter, and that's fine. But you're not the first person to call me a quitter, is the problem. In episode 83, I called myself one. Matter of fact, it's one of my more passionate episodes, the quitter, the coward, and the boogeyman. And I said that I was that quitter, Lew. I told everybody that. You're not saying anything new. Because there was a gentleman that reached out to me, Lew, while you were watching from afar. And he said that he was in the same shape that I was in, that he was fixing to step down because nobody would help. Everything was getting turned upside down. And I told him, I said, don't do that. Don't do that. Because I was that quitter back then and I talked about politics. That was in episode 83. Talked about the politics of it all. Well, Lew, you were the politics of it. It was you. Because you're trying to get to national. I went to a union meeting one night, and I went to confront the B team member for Tennessee, the district, and he was obviously out of my branch. Because all of our decisions were coming back fucked up. I was losing out on admin leave. Took forever to get. Every Wednesday we would go eat with the DRT. John Paget was management's, and then we had ours. And John Paget, management's person, would tell me, he said, hey, I know you're trying to get admin leave, but you don't have to put all these past decisions in there. I put them in there anyway. Because I wanted whoever was going to get the file after me to read those past decisions like I do as an advocate now, or used to, as I did. I wanted them to read them, the language in there, because most of the time management's arguments are the same from 5 years ago. So you can say that as an advocate. Look, they're still making the same arguments today as they did 5 years ago, and they got shot down. That's why I wanted those decisions in there. And so we started losing admin leave. One of the biggest things we lost was the flood of 2010, and it was in May. I remember that. All of Nashville flooded. If anybody remembers, the entire city flooded. I mean, floodwaters up to red lights. Complete buildings flooded. And so we did an act of God grievance, and we lost that. Well, they said we didn't get admin leave, but we would get, they couldn't use the dates against us. Nobody came to work. And that's when I went. And I said, hey, what in the fuck is going on? And so I approached my DRT member. I said, what in the fuck is happening, man? We're losing everything. Nothing's getting sent up. And he would not answer me. And so I waved in his face. It was about 2 inches from his face. I said, hey, I'm talking to you, because I was furious. And he told me then, Lew had told them not to impasse anything. That's what he said. Now, why would he say that? Why would he just make that up, pull that out of his ass? And not long after that, Lew, was when we lost that removal. One of the better removals I put together, and we lost it. And that's when I stepped down. If people remember from that episode, I stepped down and I told Dave I'm out because we're not representing letter carriers, and I'm not going to sit up there and keep doing this shit if we're not representing letter carriers. It's because of you, Lew, going to national. That's what happened. Steve Lassen called me about 10 minutes later. I was going down the road, told me I'd weakened branch 4. Pete Moss was also the RAA. He called me the next day when I got home because we were close and talked to me about it. And you were business agent then, Lew, in 2010. You got called up in 2010. That's a fact. Now, the only thing I did take exception to, and it takes a lot for me to take exception to something, was when you talked about I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm an anti-vaxxer. You try to politicize a health condition I had. And I thought that was kind of cowardly because, unlike some, I can't go to AA for my deep vein thrombosis I have in both of my calves. I can't go to AA. I can't go to rehab for deep vein thrombosis. I mean, it's chronic. They'll be there forever. I can't just walk away from a bar and be done with it. I can't go cold turkey against deep vein thrombosis. So I'm going to have Mallory put these up because you said I was an anti-vaxxer, because you're trying to, and I get the politics of it, Lew, I promise you. I'm not upset. I get the politics of it. You know, Renfroe took your ass to school on the politics of it. He outsmarted you on the politics of it. I get it. It's going to happen. And you're not the last one. I promise. You're not the last one that's going to do that shit. The politics of it. I mean, he was smarter than you. Just go on and concede that. He schooled the old man. And he got in there and got Rolando's ear and schooled your ass. And he was smarter than you on the politics of it. And so, as far as union, though, you know 1,000,000 times more than he does. He will never know. You have forgotten more than he will ever know as far as union. He knows 2% of what you do. And I'll give you that. But on that, he was smarter than you. He whipped that ass. And so I get the politics of it all. Matter of fact, what's comical is that if y'all remember, James Henry back in 1990 got removed for something and it got thrown out. There are people today sending around that decision to branches across the country. That's politics. Some call it dirty politics. But they're sending out that decision nationwide. This is something that happened in 90. So 35 years ago. And so that's the only thing they have on James Henry. Do you know why they're doing that? Because James Henry's going to win. And there's no doubt. The only thing they got on that man is something that happened in 1990. But that's happening today. Somebody drove to Chattanooga. Now, there wasn't anybody in Chattanooga. They drove to Chattanooga. So what region's around Chattanooga? They drove to Chattanooga so they could get a postmark on it. They started mailing all these things out, this decision from 1990. So I get the politics of it, man. It's going to happen. But James isn't a drunk. He doesn't drink. So it seems like that's a qualifier for any position up there, is you have to be a fall down fucking drunk and dishonest as shit. And James is none of those things. That's why I've always said I back James 100% because first off, he has integrity, which is lacking. Integrity. That's lacking, trust me. The dirty politics of it, he's not going to get in on it. And he's already said that. He will not talk about anybody. He will not do any of that stuff. And but I get the politics of it. You know, you're talking about the anti-vaxxer. I'll tell you another thing. I had the president from a branch in Alabama. And Lew, your family member, was running against this individual for president. And the president called me and told me, he said, hey, you'll never believe what just happened. I had 3 retirees call me and tell me that Lew Drass was calling the retirees and telling them to vote for this family member. That's fine. One of them was out of the business agent's office. He said, but Lew called me and we're talking. And I talk about, the politics of it, his family member running against me. He said, Lew gave me his word that he was not getting involved, that he would not get involved with his family member running against him. You're not going to make any phone calls, not going to make any phone calls. I'm not getting involved. They're going to win it on their own. He said, I'm knowing that he's already calling retirees. He's going to tell me to my face that he's not going to get involved after people have already called me and told me he was getting involved. That's the politics of it. Some call it dirty politics. It's just the fucking politics of it. I've been a city letter carrier for 32 years. So, I'm not used to the politics of it because I've never ran for anything. But if you always are honest, you don't ever have to worry about shit. Just like the story I told when I got kicked out of Chicago in the convention. And I said that I had the emails clearing me to go, and Lew says he's trying to protect the establishment, that black eye about kicking me out of the convention. And Lew says that I was an anti-vaxxer. That's the reason I got kicked out. That's what he said. And so he's, making an issue of my medical condition, which is fine. I mean, I've already told everybody I got blood clots. But he wanted to make it like it's political. I'm an anti-vaxxer. But back when that happened, if y'all remember, the NALC, we fought against management if they were going to try to mandate a vaccine on the city letter carriers. We were ready to fight tooth and nail for that. For those that could not get it, didn't want to get it, medically couldn't get it, religiously couldn't get it. We were ready to fight, and we were preparing for that fight. I just don't think they ever did. But the NALC did come out and say that as a term of their employment, you had to be vaccinated if you're going to work for them. And so it says, matter of fact, the medical certification for vaccination exemption, and all this will be up. Mallory will put all this up so you can, I don't mind if you see my medical records. Says the National Association of Letter Carriers requires vaccination against COVID-19 as a condition of employment. Now, that's something that we would not let the Postal Service do, but the NALC did it. Well, I had blood clots in both my calves. One's about 3 inches on the right calf, and one's about 2 inches on the left calf. And so I could do arbitrations in my state, but to go out of the state, I had to get an exemption. And so I wrote a letter. All this stuff will be in there. It says, Steve, enclosed with this letter is a letter from my attending physician, my primary care physician. It details my history of blood clots in my legs. Due to the vaccine's potential for blood clots and the uncertainty of the vaccine in general, I have chosen not to take the vaccine for medical reasons. As this is a chronic medical condition, I cannot risk the potential hazard of exacerbating this condition by taking the COVID vaccine. And then my primary care physician, he wrote this. This is April 13th of 2022. Says, to whom it may concern, Corey Walton is my patient. Mr. Walton has a history of recurrent blood clots in his legs. He has a blood clot disorder. This is a chronic medical condition, which means I will never get over it. It's not like being an alcoholic. I just won't get over it. They will always be in there. If I can be of any further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me. And so I'm sending all this stuff in to National. And then they send me back some stuff. They need my vascular surgeon, the one who is taking care of me, to write a statement. And that's the medical certification for vaccination exemption. And it says, employ me. And then it says, the person named above should not receive the COVID vaccine due to, and then it's Roger Banau is his name, a vascular surgeon. Now, at this time, they had already sent me to the premier blood doctor in Nashville. And they said, if anybody can tell you why this is happening, she can. And they had like 26 vials of these little vials of blood they took out of me. She's like, we'll be able to tell if it's hereditary or something like that, but we'll be able to tell you what it is. Did all these tests, couldn't tell me what it was. She said that's the first time ever that they could not tell me why I'm getting these blood clots in my legs. And so I'm going to try to read Dr. Banau's thing, but he's got some words in here I can't read. He says, Mr. Walton has been under my care for almost 6 years. Now, this is July 7th of 22. For 6 years, he has had a number, I'm trying to read this, of bilateral deep vein thrombosis for unclear reasons. His Hermat digital workup for genetic markers is negative, and yet he clearly has had an unknown condition, predisposition for venous thrombosis. The resulting scars and valvular insufficiency are permanent and are potential underlying facts for future recurrences. As a result, he may be at risk for deep vein thrombosis with the current available vaccines. This exemption should be, and it says temporary or permanent, and he marked permanent. So he said this exemption should be permanent because at the time, if you remember, people were getting blood clots with the vaccine. So he told me when I went in there, he said, I would not recommend you get it. I would not because of your blood clots and we don't know what's going on. So in here's the emails from confidential@nalc.org, and that's who you would go back and forth with. Confidential@nalc.org, and these are going to be in there. It says, hello, Corey. Hope you're doing well. Your exemption documents were reviewed. Please ask your physician to review the attached medical certification. And that's what I just read to you. The original letter that was provided to us from him was missing information that is needed. Please return the completed document to this email address. Thank you. So I send back, and this is June 14th. Here's my medical documentation that goes with my request for medical exemption for COVID-19 vaccination. And it'll have the National Association of Letter Carriers request for medical exemption. And then on July 15th, I get this. It says, Mr. Corey Walton, regarding response to request for exemption from mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy. Dear Corey, I'm writing to confirm our recent conversation during which I inform you that the National Association of Letter Carriers has agreed, pending further notification, to conditionally grant your request for a medical exemption from its mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy based upon the information that you and your health care provider provided in connection with your request. NALC's decision to grant an exemption is conditioned upon the following. 1, that you fully comply with all applicable NALC health and safety policies and procedures, including but not limited to NALC guidelines for masking and physical distancing. 2, that you fully comply with all applicable NALC travel protocols and requirements. 3, that you do not come to work or enter NALC offices if you are experiencing any COVID-19 symptoms or tested positive for COVID-19. 4, that you immediately notify, insert here, and immediately leave NALC's offices or, as the case may be, any other work site if you experience any COVID-19 symptoms or test positive for COVID-19. 5, that by coming to work at NALC's offices or any other site, you are representing that you are not currently experiencing any COVID-19 symptoms and have not tested positive for COVID-19, and 6, that you fully comply with all the health and safety policies and procedures established by the landlord of the building where NALC's regional office is located, or established by the owner, landlord of any other work site, included but not limited to masking and physical distancing requirements. NALC's decision to conditionally grant your request for a medical exemption, subject to the terms of this letter, may be revoked for failing to fully comply with all of the conditions described above. Further, particularly in light of the spread of recent variants and the evolving challenges this presents, we reserve the right to withdraw the exemption or to place further or conditions upon the exemption depending upon future events. NALC's decision to conditionally grant your request for medical exemption subject to the terms in this letter does not change your at-will employment status. And that's very truly yours, Ken Raker, Director of Human Resources. So that was July 15th. And so on July 15th, when I got that, I contacted NAL Confidential. And I said, thank you for reaching out. They sent me that at 2:09. And at 3:15, I sent, thank you for reaching out. Am I still prohibited from going to the National Convention? That's what I asked. Am I still prohibited from going to the National Convention, which would be in August? This is July 15th. July 18th at 9:28 a.m., NALC Confidential sent me back. You are able to go to the convention as long as you follow the NALC safety protocol. You got to mask up. You are able to go to the convention as long as you follow the NALC protocol. So that's what I took with me. All of that when I went up to Chicago. And they saw that and they allowed me in. They gave me my credentials. And then the setup came. That's when Steve said that he had to go to a committee. And remember later on, Renfroe called me and said, hey, there is no committee. That Steve made that up. And on that Wednesday, Barner, who I didn't know, came and he said, hey, you've not been vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated. You have to leave. And I said, hey, I got these emails saying that I'm able to, attend. And he said, we think you're misreading the email. I said, here it is. You are able to go to the convention as long as you follow the NALC safety protocol. I said, it's after I got this letter from Ken Raker. And he just looked at me like a dumbass. And so I left. And Lew says, it's because I was an anti-vaxxer. That's how fucking stupid he is. Is that something that could have potentially cost me my life? I guess you could say that's an anti-vaxxer, right? Maybe he's not wrong. But I've got a vascular surgeon telling me don't take it. And you got Lew saying that I'm anti-vaxxer. So if it was up to Lew, I would have taken it and potentially risked killing myself. But the thing about it is in Chicago, they did not have a vaccine mandate to get into the convention. It was Rolando who did that. He chose to do that himself. He chose to say you have to be vaccinated to come into the convention hall because the Chicago Convention Hall had recently lifted their vaccine mandates. But anyway, nonetheless, I mean, that's water under the bridge, but I just thought it funny that that's something that he would address, that I'm an anti-vax. I don't know what he was trying to imply there, but I had a letter from National saying you can go, and you just have to follow protocols. I went through all the steps to get that done, but I get the politics of it. I do. I understand it. One of the things is, and this will be funny, this is a receipt for Lew. This is a receipt for Lew. He said that Steve came up with the dogs of war. That's what he said. Now, here's when you get petty. When you start saying, I did that. When he came back later and says, the thing he's reading, I did that. Well, really, Bill Young and Fred Rolando wrote the 6-Day Count book. He may have fine-tuned it when him and Rolando put it out, but really it was Billy Young and Rolando who initially did it. And there may have been some before that, but they came out with one, if y'all remember. And then Lew fine-tuned it, I guess, and added some stuff to it. But he was like, I did that. Anytime you got to say, I did that, come on now. That's kindergarten. I've never said I did that on any of my episodes. I did that. If somebody ever sent me a decision and said, hey, man, thank you for helping me with that, I did that. You see how childish it sounds? Don't do that, Lew. You're too smart for that, man. You're too accomplished for that. We will give you those accolades. Others will give you those accolades. You don't have to do that, man. But I thought it was funny. He said that Steve came up with the dogs of war. Now, in the JSOV episodes, I said that Steve was good at the JSOV until he was not, until he fucked all that up because of his pride. But other regions do the teams. We did as well. And me, Jason Ashley, and Cliff Stoddard were the teams. We were the team that went out and raised hell along this region. But the dogs of war, James Henry and I came up with that. I'll tell you this, Lew, since you said that Steve came up with the dogs of war, here's a receipt for you. You show me anything, any email, not a statement with a date on it, because you can do that today. Any email preceding when I said that we were doing the dogs of war, where Steve said, the dogs of war, I'm going to implement that nationally and bring people up there and train them for a week nationally. And we were going to send them out nationally and have someone that's going to be the facilitator of that, that's going to work hand in hand with the business agents and the local branch presidents to target the vital few and go after those nationally. If you can show me that, Lew, where Steve did that prior to me coming out with it, where Steve said this in an email dated prior, that I'm going to initiate something nationally called the Dogs of War, and I'm going to have a facilitator, and they're going to work hand in hand with business agents and local branch presidents to have a vital few, and we're going to send these teams out and control the toxic working environment on the floor. If you can show me that, Lew, I will quit this podcast and I will step down from running as EVP. And there's nothing against you. If you can't show me that, it just so be it. So it's all gain for you. It's all gain for you. I'm not going to ask that you quit your podcast you just started. Show me that. Show me that. And put it out for everybody to see, where Steve said what I just said. Because that's the dogs of war. A lot of regions do the teams. I would never take that away from Steve. Matter of fact, I said it on my JSOV episodes that Steve had the team go out. Y'all are taking things and being whiny little bitches about it. Just like you saying the 6-Day Count, I did that. Yeah, that's whiny little bitch. Don't be that, man. You're too accomplished for that stuff. Really. Another thing that I thought was funny was you said that Corey was full of himself. Now, here's a city letter carrier. Corey. Here's a city letter carrier that for 3 years, 230-something episodes, has sat here on my day off on a Sunday trying to educate people on what people have taught me, things that I have learned from others, trying to teach others, to help them on the workroom floor, to educate them because they're not getting the education. Now we started one on Wednesdays to help educate as well, answering emails, calls, text messages, Facebook messages, and I'm full of myself. Do you see how fucking stupid that sounds? You've not been anywhere for 3 fucking years. You're going to come back saying you're watching from afar and immediately attack Renfroe, your protege, and me because your butt hurt. Don't be mad at me because Renfroe bitched you out. Don't be mad at me because Renfroe punked you out when he took over your job. You were supposed to be the executive vice president. Everybody knows that. Renfroe got you. That's just the way it fucking is. He schooled you. He was smarter than you on that politically. You were not willing to go there. It's obvious because when you left with your tail between your legs, you didn't say, and by the way, as I leave, the motherfucker he's putting at EVP is a fucking slush. He's a drunk. He's had DUIs. He's been falling down in bushes. Both of y'all know that. Don't be mad at me, brother. I'm just out here doing a podcast, trying to help as a city letter carrier. Hey, city letter carriers, the establishment will come. The establishment will come, and we will crush the shit out of them. As a city letter carrier, I'm telling you that. We have risen the fuck up, and they don't know what to do about it. Now you have retirees coming back into the game. Now that they see Renfroe is defeated. Do you know why? Because they cannot lose the establishment. That's why. They cannot lose that cash cow that they have. Renfroe is spending more than we're taking in. He is bankrupting this union. And that is two people's fault. Lew Drass and Fred Rolando. Two people's fault. And the executive council for protecting this stupid, sorry bastard. But the establishment will rise up. I've been telling y'all that. They're coming. They're coming. It's just that they can't do shit with me because I'm a city letter carrier. What are you going to do about me? You going to talk about me? Hell, I'll tell you anything you want to know about me. You don't call me a quitter? I call myself that. I beat you to it. Look, I have done some terrible things in my life. I have done some shitty stuff in my life. I have hurt people that I've loved. I've hurt them terribly because of the shit I've done. I'll tell anybody that. If you're looking for somebody to be perfect, I am not the one. I'll tell you that. I am far from it. Far from it. I've made some stupid ass decisions in my life. Really, I have. I have made some dumb decisions and I have hurt people deeply that I truly care about. I'm not perfect. But I love the city letter carrier with all my heart. I love the city letter carrier. That's what I am. That's what I have always been for 32 years. I have never been anything other than that. I have worked at a capacity with the union. I'm a shop steward now. I've been one since 2006. I was a formal Step A rep. Stepped down because Lou fucked us over, and I came back when Pete Moss was in there to help out my branch president. I said, I'll come back long enough until y'all find my replacement. I was an arbitration advocate for 13 years and stepped down out of that because I'm running for EVP. And I always said if I can't put 100% into it, I'm not going to do it any longer. I was at the National Safety Committee. It was a waste of my time. It was a waste of time. You go out there all week away from my family. At the end of the week, labor and ops would say, we're not doing anything that we just talked about. And you'd go home, complete waste of time. So you can call me quitter. I've said that. But you left us in the lurch, brother, when you got your ass kicked by Renfroe and Rolando. And you left and you did not tell us what was coming, what was happening. You did not say, hey, this isn't sour grapes. He's putting somebody in charge that's a drunk and a womanizer. You didn't do that, brother. You left. And you watched this shit burn for 3 fucking years from afar. That's your words. You watched from afar while this shit burned to the ground. Well, you got a president who's the most incompetent motherfucker we've ever had because of you. You brought him. He's on you. And Rolando, who's now coming back saying he's going to run as a trustee because Renfroe's spending us to death. Don't be mad at me, brother. Don't be mad at me because you got fucked over. You're a great union person, man. You're a great union person. And you came back and fucked over my region again when you went down there and did all that with the pre-arbs. Thousands of them. And I know that you said that you gave them what they were worth. Ask the presidents down there. Ask the president. That shit was everywhere. I didn't make that up. That was everywhere. They would separate them into different categories, and y'all just came in there and wholesaled them. It's the fucking truth. You can say that you gave them what they're worth. It's thousands of cases. You sold them out. It's what it is. But don't be mad at me, brother. I love you. I love you. I appreciate the time we had together. You're definitely a mentor of mine. You sold us out. You're a sellout. It is what it is, man. You're an establishment lackey that's coming back wanting to make sure that the establishment doesn't lose the establishment. They're not going to lose their position. It just is what it fucking is. It's okay. Y'all going to lose terribly. Renfroe's gone. Y'all know that. That's why y'all coming back, because y'all cannot have anybody lose the establishment, the cash cow. Because you know when James Henry gets in there, that shit is done. It's back to putting the city letter carrier first, making this thing fiscally responsible again, and putting people in place that are going to hold motherfuckers accountable and not concede anything to management like your protege, who concedes every fucking thing. I think the world of you, Lew. I really do, man. You can take shots at me. That's fine. Like I said, I'm a city letter carrier, son. I have been for 32 years. You can come after me all you want to, baby. All you want to. I don't give a fuck. Really. I know what you are. But I do appreciate all the things that you taught me. Again, I will tell anybody. You're one of the smartest individuals I've ever known. I just hate it that you had to sell us out like that for the establishment. City letter carriers, hold your head high. While all this shit's going on, don't worry about it. We will handle this, okay? Hold your head high for what you've done for the last 3 years. While people were watching from afar, while we were in the arena fighting, for everything, from your brother, Mr. Gates, all the way to the stationary events and the hour office time, while we were fighting in the arena and people, the establishment was watching from afar. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself of who you are. They will start coming back, the establishment. They'll start coming back saying, hey, remember me. Look at me. The Buzzards, trying to benefit from what the Lions have done. That's what's fixing to happen. It reminds me of a movie that I love, and I'll let you go after this. I just wanted to have a little fun. Because, hell, we've been doing a lot of shit here lately on this podcast. We've been doing a lot of shit. It's time to have a little fun, right? Hell, we've had the pivot plan thing. I read all of that. You had the telematics thing. I read all of that. 6-day count's been reading all of that. It's time to take a break from all that shit and just have some fun. And, I love Lew. And when we see each other, we'll hug each other. They're going to get crushed terribly, and they know it. That's why they're all coming back. But there's a movie I love. It's called A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey. Do y'all remember that? I read the book when it came out. Fell in love with John Grisham back then. Read just about all of his books. But A Time to Kill, remember Samuel L. Jackson killed those guys that abused his daughter. Almost killed her. And he killed them. And Matthew McConaughey was representing him. But you had the sheriff that was over the town. And one of the deputies was helping the KKK. And he was trying to help them all along the way. And at the very end of it, when the sheriff finally came out, Samuel L. Jackson had won. Everybody was celebrating. And the KKK was standing there. And the sheriff walks up to him and he's going to arrest him. And the deputy was standing over there beside the sheriff. And he snatches his ass up and he says, you get over there with them too. Why? Because he was part of it. That's what you're fixing to see. You're fixing to see those that were on the side of those fucking with us, refusing to fight with us, fighting against us, the executive council, Renfroe, Barner, those that were in there talking about cease and desist, talking about piece of the pie, talking about removing arbitrators from panels. You got Renfroe conceding everything on this TA, then having this stipulated award. Those that were working against us, you had those that were on that side, that were not helping us, those of us in the arena, those of us in this fight. And they're going to come stand with us now that this fight is over with. They're going to come stand with us beside us and say, hey, look at them over there, what they've been doing. That's what you're fixing to have. And we will take them by their britches and throw them back over there with the executive council and say, that's where you belong. With the losers. With the losers. That's where you belong. You do not belong over here with us. Those of us who have been in this fight. You have those that will be coming out, standing with us now that the fight is over. Now that they know Renfroe is 100% going to lose, you will have those in the establishment coming out, standing with us, talking about that shit. Look at them over there, what they've been doing. He's a failure over there. I think that's what Lew was saying. He's been a failure. Look at the TA, all that shit. I'm disappointed in him. Where in the fuck were you 2 years ago, a year ago, when all this TA shit? Where were you? Watching from afar. Buzzards, trying to benefit at what the Lions have done. It's terrible, man. I think the world of it, brother. But, hell, we can keep this going, man. I won't be on an episode Sunday or next Wednesday. I'm going on vacation. I'm taking my grandson to Disney World. I will not have an episode. But I will come back, and I'll have one as soon as I get back. And we'll talk about some more shit. We'll do some more salted peanuts. But we can keep doing this all you want to do it, brother. I ain't got nothing better to do. I love this shit. I love it. I always told you, I talk a lot of shit, man. But I'll back it up. I have that medical documentation put up there for you because my man said I was an anti-vaxxer trying to take a swipe at me. Be careful. I got shit. I got receipts. James Henry is going to win the presidency come next year. There is not a doubt in my mind. It will be, I don't care who fucking runs. I don't give a fuck who runs. James Henry is going to win because he's a man of God, deep in his faith. Deep in his faith. He has more integrity than just about everybody else up there put together. And right now, more than ever, you've seen with what we just talked about here, we need integrity, not people that are going to come in and fucking lie their way, trying to politicize shit just because they've gotten their ass beat by their protege. We need integrity now more than ever. They will come after James, but if what you've got to get on him is 35 years old, fuck yourself. Fuck yourself on that. That's a great man of God, man. A great man of God. Everybody on this fucking ticket has integrity. You may not like me, and I don't give two fucks. You may not like me, but we've been on this motherfucker for 3 years educating. 3 years educating, right? You knew that Lew's podcast, Jurassic Measures, was going to be good when the establishment started sending it around. We started seeing them sending it around. Listen to this. Listen to this. This guy speaks the truth. It just got shot down in 60 minutes. But hey, the establishment's coming. They'll come, and we'll crush them with our heel, right? We will crush them under our heel, just like any of them, whoever else is next. But y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. I love you very much, City Letter Carriers. We're going to win this thing. You're going to be proud of your union again. You're going to have people of integrity. You don't have to worry about where they're laying at night in bushes and whatever. And they're going to represent City Letter Carriers again. It's inevitable. It's a foregone conclusion, okay? And so, and this is a promise from me to you. We will never, ever watch from afar while y'all are fighting. We will be right there in the fucking middle of it. We will never, ever watch from afar. That's a promise from me to you. One of the worst things I've ever heard is a union leader saying, while y'all were fighting, I was watching from afar. That's the reason we're here now. That's the reason we're in the shape we're in now. It's because too many of them motherfuckers are watching from afar while we're in this fucking fight. All right? Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. On vacation next week. I'll see y'all on the next week. All right? I love you. Bye.